Welcome back to Center Stage. I'm Trevar Fox, and we're continuing our high-octane conversation with Scratch Mitchell, from fighter pilot to filmmaker. Now we dive into how he's turning jets into cameras and stories into cinematic flight. Within 9 months of transitioning, you were producing Airshow. How did that whirlwind experience start, and what were your biggest challenges?
Right, so out of the gates, this was something actually I thought about as a kid. Not necessarily the Airshow TV series, but I was really interested in television production. I think I spoke about, this screen that I saw for the first time, seeing this silly old movie, Robinson Crusoe on Mars. But it drew me into a different world, and I was fascinated by that. And as a kid, I wanted to make movies. I remember my uncle giving me books on stop animation. I was reading about how you do effects and whatnot. I was fascinated before 10 years old. And at 11, Star Wars had been out for a couple of years. At that point, I had some models, Star Wars models, and I was using fishing line, and I was trying to film with borrowed my dad's 8mm camera and filming X-Wing fighters go down a fishing line. And I was trying to make my own Star Wars movies.
Young Spielberg over here.
There we go.
Yeah.
And I was loving it until the moment I tried to fix something in the camera and some springs went flying out, and then that ended my early film career. Because there were no cameras to use after that.
Oh no.
So then obviously aviation consumed my life, and I went down that road. But as I was approaching my 20-year point in my career, I was a lieutenant colonel with the promise of going on to be a colonel and likely a general. Yeah. I had a sort of a personal take on myself, and I think I shared with you the tragedy that I experienced as the leader of the Snowbirds. And it taught me that life was short. And this is something that I used to stand up in front of school groups, thousands of kids, and I used to say, bite into life, just do it kind of thing. It's, not to be cliche with the just do it sort of thing, but really, if you really want something, you just got to do it. And I've always wanted to be a filmmaker as well. Yeah. And I said to myself, well, life is too short. You wanted to be a filmmaker, you're late 30s turning 40. I said, I'm going to retire from the Air Force and I'm going to go be a filmmaker.
Hey.
And so that's what started this whole journey. And then the advice I gave to myself, I think, more than anything, is like, what do I know about filmmaking other than don't steal your dad's 8mm camera and try to fix it?
Right.
Is go with what you know. I knew aviation, I knew elite aviation, I knew high performance aviation, and I knew the airshow industry. And so with a local producer that I knew from my snowbird days when he did documentary with us, I approached him with an idea that I was thinking about. He coincidentally was always wanted to do something like that as well with the airshow industry. And we collaborated, and he worked with me, and we basically co-created this TV series idea, and came to be. And I maybe have said this before to others, but the worst thing that can happen to a new filmmaker is beginner's luck, because we went from idea to green light within about 9 months. And I was like, well, this is easy. You just need a great idea and away you go.
Yeah, right. Why isn't everyone doing this?
We know that it doesn't work like that.
No.
But in this case, it did. It really set me on this path being a filmmaker. Okay. And I learned quickly and hard. I opened the mouth for the fire hose of information, and I was talented in the series, and I was a producer, and eventually directing on the series.
Wow, wearing so many different hats.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Right.
No.
Often all at the same time, I'm sure.
That's probably why my hair's thinning.
You're right, too many hats. Yeah, dang. How does your aviation background influence production decisions and creative vision?
Well, there's two questions in there. As the commander of the Snowbirds, I was leading a troupe of live entertainers. Right. And a traveling roadshow, if you will. It was a traveling live performance. And so I was the troop leader, if you will. I was the executive producer and the director and choreographer of this team. So I had a group of people that I was leading. I had resources I was managing, and a creative twist. That was live entertainment, being the leader of the Snowbirds. And so a lot of people ask me, what do you know about production? I go, well, that's what I did. It's resources, people, and a creative twist. So there's this, I like to think I have a left-right brain balance, and it's a strength and sometimes maybe a weakness. I don't know. But what it does allow me is to focus in on being a producer when I need to be a producer,
Yeah.
and being creative when I need to be talent or a director.
Right.
In fact, if anything, what's taught me this whole process is, if I take the performing part is, let's say, the left side of my arc, my that part of my personality, and then the producing is the right side of my arc. The directing is somewhere in the middle. It's a combination of focused creativity, and that's what I've responded to the most so far in things, and I never expected that.
Walking that tightrope between the two hemispheres of your brain.
Yeah.
Wow.
Being able to rationally see what's going on and put this creative filter on it and go, that.
So do you see yourself kind of walking more down the middle, and like does directing seem like the one that's probably the hat that you want to put on the most at this point? Or do you find yourself seeing yourself in kind of all these different avenues, walking these different avenues?
Well, I still enjoy being a performer. I'm still an airshow pilot, and I love doing that. There's something invigorating that when I get out of a jet and I walk up to that crowd line and there's kids and they want to meet you, and it's at a personal level, it's very fulfilling to do that. I love flying the airport, performing and being able to do a good job.
Right.
And I love the fan interaction, the crowd interaction. It's part of being a performer. Maybe there's a little ego in there, I don't know.
Sure, absolutely.
But it's part of me.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I've ran big budgets and squadrons and whatnot, and run operations on a fighter squadron. I can't deny that there is a pragmatic aspect to my personality and my thinking ability that I can do that producing side of it.
Yeah.
But again, if I had to pick one, it's the nexus of those two. I never expected that to be directing, and I love the directing. Never intended it again, but it just sort of presented itself to me, and I just truly love it.
Oh, wow. I could see you being really great with talent and just kind of being, kind of explaining things in a way that's like, all right, I got this. Like
that worked for me, and I had some tremendous, I like to think, tremendous success on the Midway movie, working with Roland Emmerich for that reason. He recognized in me right away that I was more than just a technical expert, and he was very gracious, and he offered me the set many days and just said, hey, can you work with the actors today and take the scene, and I'm like walking out on set, 150 people, and I'm like, here we go. I got some ideas. And,
wow.
And it both was fulfilling in the sense that, this isn't my limit. I can do this. I can handle a set, and I can work with actors, having drawn on my experience as a performer, both as a physical airshow performer, but also the acting training and being on set myself in front of the camera, but being able to apply it all and put together specifically in my area of expertise in aviation. That's where I was able to, I like to think, shine in that situation.
Do you think you would ever take on the role in a position where aviation was not a part of it?
Yeah, because I think we're all, we study the human condition, and aviation is just one vessel.
Absolutely.
And so this is something I've been working on and training myself to, push beyond that, because we know this in the industry is they like to pigeonhole you. And so I'm considered the aviation guy. So that really works for me, and, to come into production at a higher level.
Yeah.
But if it's not an aviation movie, they're like, well, what can we use you for?
Right. They don't see beyond that necessarily.
Breaking that mold is sometimes challenging. It's not a mold that I'm worried about. It's just, I have to really get the...
Yeah, like, excuse me, I have more to me than that. Yeah.
And it forces me to do my own things and push myself as well, to show the world that I'm more than just a pilot.
Right. Yeah, the world definitely, especially in Hollywood, they like to pigeonhole for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see that you're pushing out of that. What draws you to sci-fi as well as human adventure narratives, and what stories are you most excited to bring to the big screen?
Yes, I think going back to my first moments as a child watching, a sci-fi movie, Robinson Crusoe, and then Star Wars, and there was all these adventurous things, and I was just like transported to these worlds. And I know a lot of people say that in their first impressions of going to the cinema, and so that stuck with me. But I've also been a kid, and remain, I'd like to think, a kid with a lot of imagination, and I like thinking beyond the banal of our day-to-day, and science fiction is a vehicle to get outside our present situation and think about what if. And so that's what I really love about science fiction. Smart science fiction, I think, is what I respond to the most. And then adventure. I lived a life of adventure, racing sailboats to surfing to mountain climbing to all these different things. I challenged myself to do this, and I try to encourage my children to be like that, to seek adventure. And so movies with adventure of great human condition appeal to me, have appealed to me, and they appeal to me as a producer director. I want to see people in adventurous situations. Of course, we like drama and it's thoughtful and insightful, but what energizes me the most is humans in adventurous situations.
Are you able to tell us a little bit about jet fuel, the project that you've been working on?
Oh, yes. So that's, again, drawing on what I know and what I have in my back pocket. I live a unique position in aviation. I have a unique position in aviation. I'm an airshow pilot, and I work in aviation and film. I'm a technical expert, I'm a film pilot, and I direct aerial sequences, and I'm a stunt pilot.
Yeah.
And so with that, and also a little side thing I do is I climb mountains and go in the wilderness to find abandoned, wrecked airplanes of the history and tell their stories. And so the Jet Fuel series is a combination of all these unique touch points I have in aviation. And it's very just like follow along. Let's go with Scratch on an adventure to go do these different things behind the scenes with me filming aerial sequences, behind the scenes doing air shows, and then follow me in the wilderness to let's go find an airplane together and tell the story and learn something. It's very, what's the Ewan McGregor show? We're trying to make it very travel loggy.
Oh, right, the motorcycle documentary.
Yeah, exactly. The long way up, the long way around, the long way home. Great stuff, right? But it's not overproduced. It's just like, hey, let's go learn something and follow along on a journey. And I want to be able to share my crazy life in aviation. And that's what the series is designed to do.
What's the craziest lane that you found?
Well, having flown an F-86 Sabre, I did find not that far from Vancouver, I found an abandoned, crashed F-86 that went down under mysterious circumstances. Right. In fact, the UFOologists, I don't know how that works, have a conspiracy that states that maybe it was actually in pursuit of a UFO. And so that's kind of like interesting.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool just to play with those themes and go through the forensic material and the history and kind of give an opinion on here's what, this guy, Scratch, thinks about it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun.
Dang, you've never seen any UFOs out there? Nothing? No, he's like, not that I can talk about. Yeah, right, okay. We'll leave that one. That's off the record.
Classified.
Yeah, classified information. Tell me a little bit about the treatment that you wrote for North of Nowhere.
Right. So that's, again, I'm picking aviation as my theme for a lot of the productions I do because I know it. So a number of years ago, I was cast to play a role in a recreation of a classic Canadian bush pilot story. And there was a gentleman, Bob Gaucher, who went down in February 1967. And he was a rogue pilot. He was a bit of an alcoholic, not a great father, not a great husband. Like a lot of the pilots back then, the pub was more important than the family. And he got lost in a snowstorm and ran out of fuel, crash landed on the ice way north of Yellowknife. And day 14, he knew that the search and rescue was called off. At that time, that's when they said, well, no one's gonna live. And so he started writing a journal to his 3 daughters and his wife. And I have the life rights to that journal, and I've been working with one of the daughters to develop this. And I've partnered with a prolific Canadian writer, and we co-wrote this script and treatment for it. And the story is so powerful because his last entry was basically submitting to the universe. Day 58 was last entry.
Wow.
And then sure enough, the next day an airplane flies over and he gets rescued.
Oh my God.
And he changed as a dad, he changed as a father. And so there's a big fatherhood theme in a lot of what I do as well. We always ask as filmmaker, what's your why? Aviation is my vessel. My why is fatherhood.
That's the heart of it.
That's a lot of my productions feature fatherhood themes.
You have an actor perhaps in mind
to
play this pilot?
Well, it's a Canadian story. Like I would love to have one of the Ryans, like Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds. Like,
Can't go wrong with
I
either
hear
of those
they
guys.
both like aviation.
Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling, you know what to do. Our people are gonna call your people, we'll do lunch. From sky-high adrenaline to storytelling on set, Scratch Mitchell proves the sky's not the limit. It's just the beginning. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Center Stage.